Hi friends, it's Cassie. Welcome back to another video here on my YouTube channel. Today we're playing with the Spellbinders card kit. This one is called Love Grows Here. I did an unboxing. I'll have that linked down below if you missed it or would like to see what's inside this kit. But we're going to jump right into it. We've got this double timed up so that you're not here all day. You can kind of just watch me make a few cards and we'll talk about them as we go. What I've done is I've gone ahead and die cut all the pieces from the die in the set. It gives you these two adorable little birds with all their little pieces, and you even get some leaves and you get a big branch. It is, I don't know, it made my heart so happy to make it, to put it together. And so I just used cardstock from the kit. So I made myself a little pink bird and with light pink wings, and I made a blue bird with some white wings and tail, and then we've got some brown pieces that you can't see on there for his feet, his and her feet, and also the little top of their head. We're going to go ahead and use liquid glue to adhere all these pieces together. Now, the liquid glue doesn't come in the kit, but one of the things I do love about these kits is that you typically get almost everything that you would need to make some cards. You will get a big roll of double-sided adhesive. You also get some foam squares, so you get pretty much everything that you need to make these, to make cards, which is great right out of the gate. So I'm attaching down their little feet. I am using a pickup stick to do that. I find those extremely helpful when you're using or working with smaller pieces, and because oftentimes my fingers can't pick those pieces up, but the little pickup sticks definitely help. And so the tool I have, it works great. Then we'll put his little tail down and do the same thing for his feet, which you really can't see on there because it's on my dark glass mat, but his little feet are brown. And this one I just decided to use my fingers, so I was able to do it. For his and her beaks, we have I cut it out of gold, some of the gold cardstock that came in the kit, which I thought was such a nice touch. And then we'll attach down this top part for their heads, which I think is just a cute finishing touch. And then you'll notice their eye. So I lost the piece for the eye, but you could die cut that out. But honestly, just as easy, I trimmed down some brown paper that you see there. And I really just literally tore it, and I'm just gluing it behind. So you really can't see it. And so it's not perfect, but it works just fine. It covers up that spot, which is all I needed it to do. So there are our little birds, and now we can start building our scene. I'm going to use some of those self-adhesive chipboard frames. In fact, I end up using those frames on every card I make today because there's so many in here, and they're fabulous. I love them so much. And I did cut down my cardstock, as you can see, my pattern paper. I trimmed that down to be a little bit smaller than the front of those A2 size cards. I used a tiny bit of liquid glue to adhere down the pieces that would stick to the frame. And then I'm going to use some foam squares. These are some of the leftover foam squares I had from another kit. And I am going to use liquid glue. Since we already have it out, we're going to go ahead and use liquid glue just to attach down our little birds. But typically, with this kit, I would use the double-sided adhesive. That works fabulously. We will use it to attach down all of our panels to our bases. And I'll show you that here in a bit. But we're also going to stick down some of the leaves. Now, this is where the liquid glue sometimes doesn't work the greatest. For some reason, using it on this gold cardstock, it doesn't want to stick right away. It eventually does. It adheres, but you kind of really got to push, and then you really do need to leave it for a few seconds just to kind of let that dry. And I'm going to put those all over the branches. I feel like the gold for the leaves really makes their little beaks pop, and it's just a sweet touch. I love it. And I like how this scene could be used for like an anniversary card or a wedding card, or an engagement card would be really sweet as well. So you do have a lot of options here for this little scene, or just use one of the little birds. You wouldn't have to use both, but I definitely wanted to use the two. My daughter depleted all of my wedding cards, and so I need to make some more to have in my stash. I'm going to take some of the hearts that came in the ephemera, and we'll put those down as well. As you can see up above my panel, there are a ton of different colors and sizes of hearts that come in the ephemera pack. I just love the ephemera packs for that reason. So I'm going to use one of the puffy stickers that say celebrate, and then we're going to adhere this down to the front of our card base. Those card bases come in the kit. If you're unfamiliar, you get a set of 10 So you get 10 card bases and 10 envelopes. And so right out of the gate, you can make 10 cards and have their 10 envelopes and get those ready to send. So I did use double-sided adhesive. This is what I was talking about. I'm going to use that on all of my panels. And I'll just peel off that release paper using that piercing tool. That works so wonderfully to get the release paper off of your double-sided adhesive. It saves your fingernails and gets it off there quickly. Oh, I was wrong. I cut down that panel to fit exactly on that A2 size card. So that is 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. And then I'm going to take all of the hearts that you see up above there, and we're going to attach those down inside the card using more of that liquid glue. Again, I would probably typically just use the double-sided adhesive that came in the kit, but these kits are great for on the go. You might only need to grab an ink pad and like a cutting tool, but otherwise, and a stamp block, and you're good to go. You can walk out the door and get making stuff. Now, if you wanted to do the die cutting, obviously you'd probably need a little die cutting tool, but here you have it. Check it out. That's card number 1, and I do love how that one turned out. Moving on to card number 2, here are the pieces that I have. Again, I have a card base, and I picked out some ephemera and some of the pattern paper. I love this pattern paper because it is so easy to layer up. We are going to trim this panel down to be just slightly smaller than the front of our A2 size card, and I'm talking like it's only going to be maybe a 1/16 of an inch on each side, so it's going to be right, I mean, you barely will see the white border. And then for this piece of patterned paper, I'm going to just trace around this heart frame, and then what I'm going to do is cut inside the line that I drew. It obviously doesn't need to be perfect. I have a little bit of wiggle room when it comes to that heart frame. So as you can see, that's not perfect and it doesn't need to be. And then I'll peel off the release paper on our heart frame, and then I'll take our paper and stick that down to the front of that. There you go, super cute. And then I'll pull out all the rest of my pieces and get ready to stick those on. Kind of trying to play around with how I want to do that. And then here we'll adhere down our heart before I adhere anything else, because I do want to use foam squares. I just find that attaching down my panel and all the other pieces that might just use the double-sided adhesive, it's a lot easier to do this before you use your foam squares than it is after. So I'll stick my heart down, and then I'm gonna go ahead and put the foam squares on the back of my cake, and also I think I do it on the flower. I guess we'll see here in a second. But as you can see, I'm using every bit of those foam squares, even the panel, like the framing panel of it. I know that's not new. Lots of folks do that. So it's a great way to use all of it, no waste. And it works just as well. So again, release paper, we're going to peel all that off of that double-sided adhesive, and then we can attach this down to our card base. Again, just leaving a very small white border all the way around all those edges. Then I'll peel off the release paper from our double-sided foam squares, attach down our wedding cake, and then I will use some double-sided adhesive to adhere down this little flower to the front as well. And then I need a sentiment, and so this one's going to be an anniversary card because this one says happy anniversary. Love it so much. I love those puppy stickers. And then we're going to attach down this beautiful piece of ephemera to the inside of the card, and then that will finish off card number 2. So as you can see, I already have kind of forgotten about the stamp set. Didn't use it this time because I was just so in love with all the ephemera. All right, now we're going to make more of a horizontal card. So I'm going to have this be a top folding A2 size card. And so I'll trim down my pattern paper to fit accordingly. But what I decide to do is trim it down so that there's only a small white border on the right hand side. So it will be 4 1/4 by 5 1/4. So there's going to be a 1/4 inch on that right hand side. So it will go top to bottom, but you're going to have a little bit on the side. And so then before I attach down that base, we're going to play around with all the pieces. As you can see, I pulled out a bunch of ephemera And we're going to use a pretty good combination of double-sided tape and foam squares for this as well. Before I attach down my frame, I'm going to put the couple pieces that I want to be behind it. I find that when you layer up your pieces, you know, have some pieces behind, it just gives the look of, I don't know, it like that there is a lot I mean, not a lot going on, but that it's such a 3D piece, and I think that's fun. So then we'll take the adhesive off of this piece, stick that down, and then as you can see, I have some double-sided foam tape that I'm putting on the rest of these pieces. So I'll cut these down, attach this down to the back of our record player and our typewriter. I just think that's fun. To date myself, I actually learned how to type in 4th grade on a typewriter. And filled out college applications on one as well. Yeah, that tells you how old I am. Okay, peel off the release paper on the back of that. Stick those down. Love it so much. And then trying to pick out another one of these puffy stickers for our sentiment. And there's a lot on there. There's so many great ones, as you can see. And I'm going to make all 5 cards with the puffy stickers, and I'll still have a bunch left over. So when I finally find the couple that I want, I've got heartfelt and then thank you. So here's a nice little thank you that I've got. I'm going to go ahead and attach this down to the front of my card base, once again using our double-sided adhesive. And then you'll see all that ephemera sitting off to the side. I end up putting that on the inside of our card, but I should have done this as the next step. I just forgot. So I'm putting down those sequins, which they're so beautiful, so iridescent. And there are 2 sizes, so I love that. I like that there's a variation in the size. And then, yeah, off camera, I put the rest of the ephemera on the inside. So there is card number 3. Really love how this one turned out as well. For card number 4, I already have my pattern paper cut down. It is 3 3/4 by 5 inches. And so now I'm just going to kind of play around with placement. Once again, we're going to use a bunch of ephemera. We're going to use one of those chipboard frames because I'm in love with them, obviously. And again, we'll just use our double-sided adhesive to adhere down all of these hearts. And these are going to go off the page a little bit. I'm not going to cut them down until I attach it down to the base, but we're just going to place all those down. And then I'll peel off the adhesive on our chipboard frame, and we'll attach that down to the front. I love these little birds. They're so darn cute, and I like how there's a little one in there. Just so cute. This might be a cute card to give for like a new baby. So I think that's fun. And then we'll use some 3D adhesive or foam squares on the back of our birds, attach that down, and then I'm going to pick out, again, with the puffy stickers, and then this one is just going to say, "Love grows here." I think that's super sweet. This might even be a good card for a blended family that is joining in marriage, since they already have a little bird on there. All right, now we'll attach that down to our card base, and then now I'll trim off the excess, which is just a little bit. And then, of course, we're going to use the sequins, which you'd think I would have learned, and I would have put the pieces on the inside first, but I did not. So we're going to put down our sequins with some liquid glue, and again, we're using our pickup stick. And then we have pieces on the inside as well, but here is card number 4. Love how that one turned out. All right, for our final card for today, we are going to make this again a top folding A2 size card, so it'll be a bit more horizontal. We're going to trim down our pattern paper. I believe I make this one to fit the cardstock exactly, but I could be wrong. I guess we'll see. Nope, I don't. I make it a little shorter. And then I have a strip of some pattern paper from one of the patterns that I used earlier, and I'm just going to kind of play around with placement. And then we'll start attaching everything down. We'll use, again, our double-sided adhesive. And what I love, like I've said before, about these pattern papers is that they are lightweight. They're made for layering. So I'm just going to fold that over rather than cut it off. And then I'll peel off the release paper on this chipboard frame, attach that down. And then we'll attach down our sun, and we'll attach down our cloud, same way. And then we're going to play around with our bird and the nest and the leaf, I want to attach those to each other first because I do want to use some foam tape, but I'm going to attach these these three pieces together just using some of the double-sided adhesive. And then we can flip that over and we can put foam tape all over that. And so then once I get all of that attached down, we can peel all the release paper off of those and attach that inside of our frame. And then, pieces on the inside as well. There are just some really cute little bird houses in this ephemera pack. So sweet. And then we'll attach down our panel to our base as usual. And then we have to pick out some sentiments, of course, after I trim off just that tiny little bit of excess. And then I'm going to put down 3 of these. Like I said, I love these puffy stickers. And even after putting them on all 5 cards, I have plenty left over. So that's going to finish off our 5th card. And I think this one is super sweet as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at all 5 cards that I made for you today. I would love to know which one you think is your favorite. As I've always said, that's my favorite part of making these cards, just kind of hearing what you guys have to say. I hope it inspires you to want to get inky or at least make some cards or whatnot. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button. Definitely consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. And as always, I will see you very soon in another video. Bye, everybody.